Good evening, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking here with us on our night of improv, it would seem. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me for the first time in weeks is my co-host, Mr. David Sorrain. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening, everybody. I squeaky chair tonight. Wow. I'm back. I mean, what can I say? It's I missed everybody. It was a busy couple weeks, but back. Got a couple more dates that I won't see everybody through the end of the year, but then those are just like the holiday dates of my birthday. But glad to be here. Got a really spontaneous show for you guys.
We're talking like 10 seconds ago.
We're talking like 18 seconds worth of prep between the two of us.
So let me.
It'll be good though. I promise. We're going to talk about a couple of good topics. So the conversation's always good when we have a good topic, no matter what. So
yes. To talk about why we say we had 18 seconds of prep. It appears that Dave and I are being stood up by both of our guests, which leads me to believe it's a coordinated effort.
I'm blaming it on the loss today. They're probably crying in their Kansas City Chief jerseys. They're probably just distraught, sitting on the couch, don't know what to do with themselves after Buffalo laid the smackdown on them.
I don't think that's the case, but okay.
I'm going to celebrate that win anyway. So that was just a great segue to celebrate the Buffalo win today.
I want to celebrate it too, but I also want our guests here.
Well, I do too. Yeah.
Right. So sent Brett and Ryan a message on Wednesday, sent them all the information about the show this afternoon, and have not heard from either of them. So, and obviously now that the show is here, and they are not. So
I cut my hair, by the way, in case people are wondering. I didn't lose a bet. I just got tired of not being able to go in and get my hair cut. Like, it just never fit my schedule. So I was like, yep.
Nobody was wondering that, Dave.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah. My coworkers haven't seen it. And when they see my hair this short, they're going to be like, what? Did he lose a bet? That's why I'm saying it right now up front. I did not lose a bet.
Oh, I see. Because your workmates are our audience.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, they're part of the audience. Yes.
All right. So hopefully at some point in the future, we'll actually have Ryan and Brett on, because I really want to talk about Wabasha Street Caves. I think the history and especially the paranormal stories behind it are amazing and should be heard. So with the 18 seconds of prep, kind of have a, snafu of different things that we're going to do. And the first thing we're going to do is, a couple weeks ago, when Dave was on the show, he was talking about the greatest EVP ever. He's ever.
Probably, if you put it head to head, I mean, I've gotten a lot of phenomenal EVPs that are gin clear, intelligent conversations, but just for what it says, the length of it, the fact that nobody else was in the room with me, and and I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to ruin it. We'll talk about it after, but I think it's probably my top EVP of all times that I actually still have a recording of. Well, but I'll phrase it like that, because I think that one at the Werewolf House, when all the individuals named their names, the 9 people that were being trapped there, that is a phenomenal EVP. But I don't have that anymore. So
nope, neither do I.
It was on your hard drive that fell to the ground, and that was on a computer of mine that got a virus, and I didn't think to yank the hard drive out, and everything that was on there I lost. So
I have a couple from that investigation. That is not one of them.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, and technically you don't have that EVP either. I do.
Yeah.
I have that
EVP. My EVP?
The EVP we're gonna have.
Oh, I've got I have my EVP. You have it too, though.
Yeah. Yes, I do. So anyway, Dave said we'll play it if we get a request for it. And through the website, odysseyfilesradio.com, which I highly suggest everybody go to.
If I don't know why you haven't been there yet. I mean,
I agree.
Confused. Yeah. So
your decision-making abilities confuses me, but
it's the
but anyway,
I'll give you some break. Yeah.
But we got a request through the odysseyfilesradio.com website from the greatest supporter of our show, Mr. Anthony. And yeah, so I have it, I guess, primed up, whatever you want to call it. So Dave.
Yes, sir.
Since this is your EVP, why don't you set the stage?
Sure. So many years ago, we went to a location in Iowa and never been there before, didn't know anything about it. You know, old schoolhouse out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally in the middle of nowhere. And I'd heard a couple of stories, right? Like there was some activity from kids and stuff like that. And that there was this individual there called the principal that liked to hang out in the principal's office. And I thought, okay, fun. You know, I mean, it was me and you and a bunch of other people. And I think that wasn't that Chad Kalix? Wasn't it the first time we were there? It was Chad.
It was a Chad Kalick event. Yeah,
it was a Chad Kalick event. Yep. So first time we got introduced to it. So we went, and I loved the place. I'm going to emphasize that strongly throughout the night tonight. I loved the place. I am about 98% sure that I'm never going back. But I did love the place. And I was there a handful of times and had great experiences every time. But there was this entity called the principal, and we got some really good disembodied voice EVPs, stuff like that. And there was the whole backstory was that something happened that was improper with a child or with children. And I don't think it was the principal that was involved, but I think the principal knew about it and chose not to do anything about it and just kind of let it lie. And anyway, so I went into the auditorium back before they started tearing walls down. It was an actual auditorium, small wooden stage. It was just me. Nobody else was in the auditorium at all. Nobody was anywhere remotely close. The only person there was, I shouldn't say nobody was there. The only person that was there was the girl that you were seeing for a little bit that had my camera that was taking pictures, and she shot like 100 photographs just to see if anything would, Jennifer, to see if anything would materialize. So throughout the EVP, you can hear click, 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 because she's just constantly popping photos with my camera. But she's in a different room, and she's standing there completely quiet in the doorway, just popping pictures. So I got really emotional for some reason when this whole thing started, and I started asking about, like, do you know that when you steal the innocence of a child, that you're committing the ultimate sin, and that, you know, that the children that have been, that have things like this happen to them, they lose their innocence and they never become the person they were supposed to be. And it was the long version is pretty, I haven't heard it in a while, but the long version is pretty gut-wrenching and drawn out and emotional. And then this is the response that I got to me pouring out my heart and being pissed off about something happening to the kids.
Does the white light I have inside of me scare you? Is that what it is? Is your darkness so superficial that you can't do anything about it? Is that why you went after kids? Innocent? Don't know any better? Easy to trick? And you know what happens when you steal a kid's innocence?
If you're hiding in the corner, come out.
They're destroyed forever.
All right. So there's actually 4 different EVPs in that one. Same
Right.
voice.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, same lady for sure.
yeah, same lady.
Yep.
And the last 3 are what people really get, like a lot of.
Right. The first one, when you dug into it years ago, because I knew it was there and I heard it, and I'm like, I hear it, but I did not hear what you heard. And then I went back and listened to it. So you share that part of it, because you made the effort and went back and dug into it and then shared it with me. And I was like, holy crap. You know?
Really? You stayed away from the shit?
You know, it was so strong with the rest of it, because the EVP is longer than that, and it was much longer towards the beginning of that too. So
I meant you stayed away from the word shit.
Yeah, I did stay away from the word shit. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No. So we skipped over that first part because to me,
it was so exciting to get the other.
Well, yeah,
conversation of it. I mean,
it was just one of those things where it's like, we can't really make that out. But look at all these other ones that we can't. And so
that are perfectly clear.
That are perfect. And I was actually at a interview for an investigator. And one of the things that I used to do when I met face to face with them is I would bring my laptop and I would bring a bunch of really good EVPs, and I would test how their audio was. You know, could they hear it? Mm-hmm. And so I'm interviewing Sean, who was my lead investigator at the time, and I were interviewing. I think her name was Amanda, I want to say. But I played this for her. And because like you, I loved it. I mean, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. And she started to catch some of those words that were in that first little section. Mm-hmm. And from there, all of us, like, we're just passing around the headphones. And we're like, okay, I hear that. Okay, yep. No, I hear that. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. Oh my God. That's exactly what it says. How did we miss that?
Yep.
And what we caught it saying was, me and my best friend, we will live again.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other ones.
Right.
And
you can do better than that. I'm not afraid of you. And the interesting thing about that was I can go after something and I can provoke with the best of them, but I usually provoke only like in a good versus evil, religious versus evil type of mentality. I don't provoke entities just to try to get a response, because I'm totally against that. But if I come into a situation where some horrific thing is rumored to have happened, or if I know that there's darkness there because I can feel it, I will use religious provocation still to this day, just to see. I'm not looking for to step in the ring with Mike Tyson for 10 rounds, but I will use it to see what kind of response I can get. And it kind of gauges for me that if I get a response to religious provocation, most normal individuals that live and pass and haven't moved on yet are not going to get vehemently upset about talking about Jesus Christ or God or bringing out a holy relic or the Bible or a blessed medallion or whatever. They're not going to lose their mind about it. It doesn't make them angry. They might not be their faith, but they're not going to lose their mind about it. So, but whatever was in that room didn't like the fact that I was talking about screwing with the kids and stealing their innocence, and she wanted to go head to head, I think, in retrospect, and I wouldn't have anyway, because it was the first time I was there. Then there was no control of that situation at that time. It was just random people that had paid to go to Chad Kalich's event, didn't know any of them. You know what I mean? I would not have stirred the pot that hard at that event anyway, regardless of what would have happened. But it's a great MVP.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna play it again here in a
Turn
second.
it up a little bit if you can, because it was really quiet on my, like, when it came through to me, it was super quiet.
Really?
I was going to ask if you could turn it up and play it again and turn it up.
Well, I'm going to play it again. It's at 100% now. So basically, what you're listening for, if you didn't already hear that, is "Me and my best friend, we will live again." I'm not afraid of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can do better than that. And then, if you're hiding in the corner, come out.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Does the white light I have inside of me scare you? Is that what it is? Is your darkness so superficial that you can't do anything about it?
You don't scare me.
Is that why you went after kids? Innocent? Don't know any better?
You can be better than that.
Easy to trick? And you know what happens when you steal a kid's innocence?
If you're hiding in the corner, come out.
They're destroyed forever.
So there we go. So that was 100%. I mean, it's
Yeah,
loud
I could
in
hear
my-
it much better. Yeah, I
I
could
was
hear
saying
it much better that time.
I was
So-
say it's loud in my ears. So I don't know what else you want me to do, Dave.
No, that sounded fine. First time it was a little quiet, but
Yes. So yeah. So Anthony, we hope that sorry, I'm bringing something up here. We hope that was worth the wait. No, you had to wait like 2 weeks for it. You even messaged me to remind me that
to make sure you play it this week. I've been waiting 2 weeks. Yeah. Funny.
that he had sent it through the website, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for Dave to come back. It's his EVP. But yeah, we were going to get it. So again, for the people who are coming in to see Brett and Ryan from the Wabasha Street Caves to talk about the history, they stood us up. So we will hopefully have them on another night. So what we are going.
Sorry.
Oh, you just saw that?
I just glanced over.
So what we're going to talk about tonight, and I think that we talked about this or did this probably off as an improv show. Something we taught probably 6-7 years ago, 6.5 years ago, something like that. So we're going to try to reiterate it because obviously so much time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
Our show reach is greater than it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find that episode.
It's in the archives.
It's in the archives on OdysseyParanormalSociety.com. If we talked about it at all. But over the years and training with Dave, for the first 4 years of my career, which now stands at like 14 years, something along those lines. Yeah, because this coming March is the team's 10-year anniversary, where we will be investigating the Wabasha Street Caves. This time for the entire night, not a humongously overpriced 3 hours. But
right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, indeed. But we won't get into finances here. So what I determined over that course of time and what I've tried to maintain through all of these years is rules and mentalities for being a paranormal investigator. And not everybody's going to agree with them. I get it. People, all teams have different mentalities. Obviously, if you're a ghost hunter, you're not going to follow these rules whatsoever because you're just not interested in the same thing that I am, such as safety, professionalism, and making sure you do things correctly, in my opinion. So when I say correctly, I mean in my opinion. And then I've also known, this is what brought it up, is because it happened last night at an investigation that I was at, where one of these mentalities was not intentionally kind of broken. I don't think she really understood what she was really doing, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to have that talk with her. And then, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So anyway, And for anybody who is listening and maybe has one that they would like to add, I'm more than happy to entertain more rules. And especially if it keeps my team and I safe, and stuff like that. So Dave and I are I'm gonna read them, and Dave and I will just take them one at a time. You know, if we have anything that we'd like to discuss or why this is important and that sort of thing. And
I haven't heard these forever, but I'm going to bet you that I'm going to bet you that some of them are still going to be rock solid core fundamentals, and some of them, you know.
Well, I mean,
We'll see.
you and I over the years have diverged.
We've diverged a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we're still on the same path. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, we're running parallel a couple feet apart at times. That's all. We're still within eyesight of each other. We just do things a little differently at times.
Yeah. There are definitely times where Dave does stuff and I'm like, ugh. And there are times that I do stuff and Dave's like, you really don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So, right. You know, we get that during our stories and in our discussions anyway, you know, during the show. You always see that.
Right.
So obviously, rule number 1, do not investigate alone. About as rock solid as you can get. Just flat out, do not investigate alone. And we've mentioned this so many times over the course of the years of doing the show. You know, obviously the main one is just safety.
Safety, yeah.
Safety. You know, that is just a safety thing.
For me, it's just a safety thing, right? It's just that's really what it is for me. It's a safety issue. You know, God forbid you have even just some type of health issue, or you're in the dark and you slip and you fall and you twist your ankle really bad and you can't make it back up the stairs without some help. I mean, whatever. It could be just a simple thing, you know, and then it can also be you ran into something you didn't expect to be there. And you know, it's always better to have 2 or 3 like-minded individuals to kind of help each other move away from, you know, out of the house type of thing or out of the space type of thing before it potentially gets bad.
Right. I mean, and just kind of feeding off that one, you really want to have those other people there, or at least one other person, in case you start getting affected,
right,
by the thing.
Right.
That's happened numerous times. I mean, you used to call me your safety blanket.
You were.
I mean, because you would go off on this like big head. This is what I need to do. I'm going in there. I'm gonna. And I'm like, that's the dumbest idea you've ever had, Dave. Shut the F up.
Yep.
So there's so many different reasons why you should just never investigate alone, and from 4 different aspects, it's just safety.
Right.
Right. For doing that.
I'm a very emotional guy. Being an empath, I mean, I'm just a very emotional man. Always have been. So, and having multiple daughters didn't help at all. It just made me more emotional and more spreading my wings, trying to keep people safe. And then when I would go get involved in cases that had, you know, children or daughters involved, I get very, very protective. To the point where I will, you know, at times, and don't do this. It's not okay just because I did it. I'm admitting I did it. It's not okay to do it. But, you know, I threw myself out there unprotected and went after a couple of different investigations, went after what was there. You know, is what it is. I wasn't doing it to get evidence. I was doing it to reclaim the space for the family that was there, that was suffering, that was struggling to reclaim it for themselves. So I was trying to pump as much love and white light out of my body and my beliefs as I could into the space to flush it of any darkness. And sometimes it works, and sometimes you get your ass kicked. And then you get knocked down and you get back up and you go back again, because that's what you got to do, because, you know, the people need help. You don't just walk away from shit like that. So.
All right. Rule number 2, Never investigate your own home or locations that you have deep ties to.
Wholeheartedly agree with that.
The reason for that, because a lot of people would be like, well, why? Why would you not investigate your own home? And that's because you're the most vulnerable there.
Right.
If there's something evil there that is looking to I don't want to say embellish, but it's looking to take advantage. There we go. Take advantage of your emotional tie to this that can then be used against you. And so we all see the reenactments of stuff, the dramatizations for these shows. And how many times did the husband gets so upset because like his wife is being attacked, or maybe his kids are being affected, and he's like, do something to me. If you're going to pick on anybody, pick on, and then all hell breaks loose because you just invited something in.
Right.
So bringing in a paranormal team who doesn't have those ties won't make those mistakes.
Right.
I understand your home is your castle. You want to protect it. You take it as your responsibility to protect it.
Well, that's how we're raised as men, right?
Well, exactly. Well, that's what I mean.
We're the defenders of the family. So, we're the defenders of people that can't defend themselves. That's our role. So,
and yeah, which is why I know it's hard to admit that you need help, or that you can't do it.
Right.
So that's the reason for that rule, because so many things can go wrong when you have those now. If you're a seasoned paranormal investigator, and you've been doing as long as Dave has, or you've been doing it for 20 years or whatever, and you've got hundreds of cases under your belt, I would probably be more willing to let you investigate your home, because I think you know enough not to make those mistakes.
You can dip your toe in the pond, is how I would put it.
Yeah.
But you are not allowed to full-blown investigate your own property. I don't give a shit of how much experience you have. And here's the reason why. And for me, this is the most important thing. If it's a normal human spirit, they're not going to do anything to you. You can make them angry. They're going to get a little pissy. They might move your keys and put them in the freezer. They might, turn the lights on and off. They might do, you're right. They might do some shit just to try to get back at you, right? Open the door, leave it open. Like you come home from work and your front door is open, right? Lights are on in the middle of the night when you get up. It's annoyance type of things. And that's the way they fight back. So that to me is not the reason not to do it. The reason not to do it is because that 1% of the time, 3%, whatever you want to say, evil really exists. It only takes a slip to open up that door. And once you open up that door, you're screwed. And then at that point, you need to go get some serious help, religious help, mediumship help, parapsychologist help, paranormal investigation team help, document what's happening there, try to get a name, right? Get evidence type of thing. And it's really easy to do. I don't care how much experience you have. It's really easy just to lose your cool for 60 seconds, 30 seconds, and do or say something stupid that opens up a door. Because, true evil, that's all they want. That's all they're doing. They're just waiting for that opportunity. They got nothing but time. Time is on their side, man. For them to come back night after night, who cares? For them, it's nothing. They're just looking for the crack. So that's why I say don't investigate your house, truthfully, after all these years, now that I've been involved, would be because you don't want to screw around with something and accidentally open up some sort of door.
Yep. All right. Number 3, do not whisper, hum, sing, mumble, or do voice impressions during an investigation. If you do, tag yourself. And that is, honestly, I think that's the hardest thing to train yourself not to do.
It's hard for people. It's hard for rookies.
Yes, it is.
It's very hard for rookies because they'll whisper all the time.
Yes. I know if Jerry's listening, the director of Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota, he knows that I will fight him tooth and nail, never to investigate with his ex-wife. Because she hummed, and she didn't do it on purpose. It was a subconscious thing.
Right.
But she would just every so often she would just start humming something.
Unacceptable.
And, yeah, exactly. And obviously the reason for that is your recorder's going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And you're going to think it's an EVP.
Right.
How many times have you gotten mad at me because you thought you had a class A EVP and you're so excited and you play it to me and I'm like, that's me.
Yeah.
I was talking low. Apologies.
Yeah. That was back in the day. I mean, we don't do that anymore, but
right.
Yeah, there were times back in the day when I was like, oh my God, you got to hear this. You're like, yeah, that's when I was headed out to the car. I was trying to be quiet. I was just letting you know I needed to get a couple things out of the car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. So, but
and
it
no
always
chewing gum. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a no-brainer. And this happens to all of us. Tag your paranormal belly.
Paranormal belly.
Yep. And don't go on an investigation where you're gonna have to sit in the dark quietly for 4 to 6 or 8 hours and eat like greasy cheeseburgers before you get in there, or like spicy tacos, or just just eat something normal where your body is not gonna like be upset with you and you're not gonna have indigestion. Because we laugh about that stuff. I mean, there have been times when we listen to stuff and we're like, did you hear that? It sounded like, my name's Jacob and I'm here from, Ohio. And I'm like, no, that was me. I had a couple of hamburgers before we went out. That was my belly.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how sometimes that stuff sounds when you hear it on a recorder.
My favorite story of paranormal belly ever, and I am not embellishing this whatsoever, but it honestly sounded like Suzanne's belly at Edinburgh was answering my questions.
Yes.
I mean, like I would ask a yes or no question, and honestly, 3-4 seconds after I would ask it, no, and you just get this growled no.
Yeah.
And it would be her belly. And so yeah, it happens to us all. It takes a while to get rid of, especially if you want to think, especially if you think out loud.
Right.
And a lot of people do.
Yep.
I do. I always do. You should hear me just say shit in my truck all the time, all day long. I'm just talking out loud. Don't need to, but yes, I just like hearing my own voice.
So I don't know if this is going to come up later, but if it does, great. We'll just reiterate it. But here's another really important thing that I notice that a lot of rookies do. That not people that have been out a few times, but the people going out their first 3 or 4 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know the piece of equipment that you're using or that you want to use before you get into the field and you're sitting in pitch black and you have no idea what buttons you need to push to make the equipment work. That's just a pet peeve of mine. That annoys the shit out of me. Look what I bought. Look what I bought. I bought this great thing. Oh, look at this. Look at this. And then you go and you start investigating and they're like, okay, now, let me see. I think
this is brand new. I've never used it before.
Yeah, I think you push this, and then I think you have to hold these two together. Nope, that's not it. Hold on. And I just want to take that, item and just chuck it into the wall and be like, that spirit, I don't know what happened, overcame me.
You know what, Dave?
Sorry for your $400 loss. Yeah.
You know what, Dave?
Use your equipment before you get in the field, please.
You just gave me a new rule.
Uh-oh.
No, know your equipment.
Yeah, know your equipment. Right.
I'm writing
especially
that
for you, because you've got case upon case upon case upon case of stuff, and you've got a lot of reasonably new people on your team. So make them sit down in a non-investigative type of thing and use it all with the lights on so they can see it, that they know how it works.
See,
know how to record on the FLIR. It's great that you can push the power button on, but if you get a moment where you're like catching something phenomenal, like the ferry in Iowa, and you didn't happen to be recording that at the moment, think about what a loss that would have been for that moment, because that is Jesus. First time I saw that, when you called me into the office, I was like, I jumped right through the goddamn roof.
Yes, almost.
I did. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's an amazing catch. It's a lady ducking down and like pulling a cloak over her head. And then we analyzed it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And, different people see different things. I still see what I see, but it's irregardless of what we see, the minute differences. It is clear as day that there is an entity looking at us and then turning away and moving down in a space where there is no place for her to be, number one, and no stairs. And she would have had to been free floating in the sky about 7.5, 8 feet tall.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So,
in these clothes racks that were just packed to the gills with old costumes. I couldn't even get in there.
No, neither of us could.
None of us could. Right. So that's a phenomenal catch. So know your equipment.
Know your equipment.
It's important.
That's rule number 10. So
there you go.
But we're only on number 4. So number 4 is very, very, very important. And often a lot of people, a lot of shows make this mistake all the time. Never invite a spirit to do anything to you. Yeah, except Dave, because Dave will just be like, "Come on, mother ever, let's go." This is
you can use my energy. You can use to manifest.
Nope. That I almost get. I will allow it, but I get.
I have said that maybe once or twice.
Maybe. An investigation.
In an investigation.
Yeah. No, I mean once or twice every investigation.
Well, I said once or twice, didn't I? I was close.
You're off by like 700. But
yeah.
But yes. So here's the reason why. Because it's dangerous. It's reckless. And because what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to an attachment.
Right. I wouldn't say it's reckless. I would say it's dangerous. To me, it's not reckless. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. See, and
I know the ramifications.
I'm
just saying, right? It's not reckless if you know the ramifications. I know what potentially could happen. I know what I'm trying to accomplish by doing it, and I am willing to take the risk, knowing that what could potentially happen to me. That's not reckless.
That is reckless.
It's not reckless because I understand the consequences.
Oh Lord!
It might not be prudent for everybody to do that, but I have been known in the past to do that. So
yes. So I
try not to now, but
so I mean, obviously that includes what we were just talking about. You can use my energy to do whatever, touch my hand, pull my hair, any time that you invite them to do something specific to you, you are inviting an attachment.
Well, you create a thread is basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
And those threads eventually have to be cut by somebody.
Yeah. So again, that's more of a safety issue. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even though I get somewhat irritated when people who don't own my equipment offer up my equipment as something, use the energy in this REM pod. I'm like, it's not yours. Shut up.
Yeah. So I could take it back home, put it in my garage, and then have the lights turning on at 3:30 in the morning. Yeah. Thank you.
So that has happened on more than one occasion. So far I haven't gone off the deep end yet, but
it's coming though.
Sooner or later,
it's coming.
There's going to be. I'll have like some $4,000 piece of equipment, and they'll be like, use the energy in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
when you spend that amount of money, you can go ahead and offer it up to the other world, or,
Right.
the other side.
Right.
Until
Exactly.
then, shut your damn mouth and use your flashlight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's again a safety issue that you don't want anybody to invite anything to do it to you, and that's a big rookie mistake. One of the new investigators on my team, who's actually going to come up twice tonight. This is number one. But we were at a very place that both Dave and I like to go, cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought that she was going to be motherly and whatnot. And so she invited the kids, if they wanted a hug, that they could come over and hug her.
Oh, I've done that before.
I'm sure you have. But
for a rookie, probably not the best move.
Right. And I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I would have said the same thing. Right. For a
Yeah.
rookie, I would have said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Probably not the time in your career to be offering energy transfers and stuff like that when you don't know exactly what you're doing or what you're dealing with. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you're in a place where you don't know. I mean, obviously we do, because we've been there many, many times. But if you're in a place you've never investigated before, you don't know if the spirits there want to stay there or not.
Right.
And if you start throwing out these invitations to come and give you a hug, or, if you need something, I'm here for you, that sort of thing.
Right.
They might be maybe happier than a pig in shit to follow you home.
Yeah, or even if it's just a piggyback ride to get the hell out of the doorway or the threshold that they can't cross on their own, right? And then they get over that threshold, and they're just going to jump you for a couple days. They're just going to attach themselves for a couple days. Once they get free of what they were, once they get free of what was holding them down, they're out.
Let's hope.
I mean, right?
Well,
not all the time. Not all the time, obviously, but a lot of the time in a normal haunt type of situation, I think personally that's what happens. It's just a couple days. I needed some help getting the hell out of this space. It was my own personal hell type of thing. I couldn't get past that threshold. It was a self-imposed threshold. You gave me a hug. You grabbed my hand, whatever the case might be. I was able to cross that with you. I appreciate it. I'm going to hang here for a couple days and kind of understand and get my boundaries, kind of understand, get my balance of what the hell's going on. And then I'm out of here. And thank you. And it's probably not that simple, but I think at times it can be.
Especially when you don't believe in child spirits.
Well, I do not believe in child spirits. Correct.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, anyway, number 5, never run. I think that's
just
pretty self-explanatory.
It's just common sense. You're going to run, you're going to turn around and run face first into a metal beam sticking out of the wall, or a tree branch, or a grave marker. Nothing good's going to come out of that. And there's no reason to run. If you're that scared, you shouldn't be there in the first place. Honestly, that's my opinion. I mean, and I tell people that right to their face, and they don't like hearing it. But if you feel the need to run because you're that damn scared, you shouldn't be here.
So, she's not an investigator, so I really can't fault her for it. But just the whole, if you're that scared, you shouldn't be here type of thing.
Yeah.
So I recently upgraded all of my DVR cameras to wireless.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you do that, it connects through an app to your phone. You can see all what the camera's seeing and whatnot. But these not only have color night vision, which I love, but you can listen and talk through them.
Well, that's
so.
I don't know about the whole talking through them thing, but
I don't really need that. Right. I like the audio thing because obviously I've had years and years and years of just literally watching paint dry in silence.
Silent
You know,
movies, old
yeah,
Charlie
right.
Chaplin movies. Yeah,
Except without the captions.
without
But
the comedy. Yeah, right.
exactly. So last night, during our investigation, I was setting everything up, and I put a camera in a room where our base camp was, and there was
Mhm.
a whole bunch of people there. And I was in another room setting up cameras, and I'm like, oh, knowing that they're jittery as f. Um, Brought up my phone, tapped on that camera, and then hit talk. And I was like, whoo, through it. And I was far enough away where my phone was glitching and like freezing and stuff like that with that camera. So when I got back to that room, they asked me if that was me doing it. I'm like, yeah, that was me. And I guess one of the ladies that was there like jumped out of her chair. She's like, I'm out of here.
Oh, that's just a dick move, but it's funny.
It was. It really was.
Yeah.
I own that.
Oh my god.
Number
It
6.
totally freaked her out before she
Oh, it
even
did.
got a chance to get involved in what was happening.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my god.
This one Dave and I disagree on, at least in some levels, because he's already talked about it. Do not provoke. So does anything really even more need to be said? Obviously, it just brings on more stuff to you that you really don't need. Unless you're like Dave, you're like, I'm prepared for everything. Yeah, we'll just move on from that one.
Mm-hmm. I have been attacked. I've been attacked more times that people would whole teams would quit with the amount of times that I've been attacked and the amount of times that I've had attachments and stuff like that. It doesn't scare me. It bothers me for a couple days because it takes my energy and it makes me I think things that aren't me until I can get rid of it. But like I said, it's religious provocation. I don't provoke like for the thrill. I don't get a thrill out of it, and I don't do it for reviews. I don't do it for ratings because all of my stuff's private anyway. I don't share it with anybody. I mean, so yeah.
All right. You would think that this next one would be pretty much common sense, but surprisingly, it isn't. And it's always speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people like Dave who start experiencing stuff and they're like, I'm okay. I can handle this. There's nothing wrong here. Or I'll just, throw out some more energy and I'll block myself and everything will be okay. And what I mean by always speak up is when you do these kind of investigations, you get emotionally, you get physically, I don't want to say assaulted, but you get influenced.
Well, you do. It's an assault. It's a good term.
Okay. Well, I mean, usually people go to the extreme. Like when you say I've been assaulted, like you got like 4 scratches down your back and you're bleeding all over the place.
No.
But
the mental attack is every bit as real as the physical attacks.
Very true.
So.
But there are a lot of people who, especially when they're new,
mm-hmm.
where they don't want to seem like they're weak or they're vulnerable because maybe if they say something, maybe I'll be like, well, you obviously can't hack it. Yeah, I'll judge them as not being able to hack it and what we're doing and kick them off the team. Other ones are worried about interrupting a session, for something like I'm not feeling well, but he's on a roll with his questions. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to be. You might get mad at me. No. Always
that's the dumbest thing you can do. That's the dumbest mentality or attitude to have, and I'm going to tell you why in one simple term. Right? You're only as strong as your weakest link on your team, and so you could have a team of 5 that you love, and 4 people. And I don't give a shit how long you've been investigating. You can have 4 people that are just rock solid. And then that one person that's coming in and trying to be there with the rest of the team, and they're just not quite there. And they don't want to be like what you just said, right? They don't want to be the weak link. They don't want to interrupt. They don't want to do, so, and then they don't say anything. And they're the ones that are going to get attacked. That fifth person is going to be the one who's going to take the brunt of it, because the other four know how to protect themselves and ground themselves for the simple attacks, for the simple energy vampire type moves that happen all the time in investigations, that they don't feel them. They're not affected by it because they know how to protect themselves from it. It's the fifth person that doesn't, and then is getting their ass kicked and doesn't say anything. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're a rookie on a team and they won't let you speak, call me. You're not on the right team. I'll mentor you.
Well, I mean, there's a humongous difference in they don't want you to speak, and I don't feel like it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be rude to speak. Like, there's a huge difference in that.
Well, so here's the deal, right? Before you go into any investigation, everybody has to be on the same page. So these are questions, in my opinion, these are questions that should be talked about prior to ever arriving at an investigation, especially if it's a private client investigation.
Yep.
That is not the time to be having these petty differences within the team. If that shit happened, and it has happened, when I've been the lead of a team, we're done. See it, everybody out. We're not doing it tonight. Apologize to the homeowner, because it just ain't going to happen, because we're not going in there with this shit chaotic team mentality in a situation where they're having some real world serious issues that they can't control. And I've been there already and done the pre-investigation and sat and talked with them multiple times before I ever brought everybody over. And I know that it's happening because I've witnessed some things. We need to go in there strong. You need to be a united front. You can't go in there. You can't go in there weak.
I agree, but the one thing that I will reiterate with Dave's 4-1 type thing is, when you're on a team, it's not the director and then everybody for themselves. You are there to protect each other.
Correct.
You are there to look out for each other.
Correct.
So if you don't speak up, they don't know what is going on with you.
Right.
And so if you are being affected in some fashion, it is the team's responsibility to get you out of there.
Absolutely.
And
on a good team, they'll see it happening. On a good team, of close-knit team that's on the same page, I can tell you when energy shifts change in the room, and if somebody's being affected, because if they go from who I know they are to all of a sudden really outlandish and angry, or really quiet and meek and shy and hiding in the corner, something's not right. Right? It's just an observation thing. You got to use your observational skills in every investigation.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be that extreme.
I'm using extremes just so people who don't have the amount of time that we have in understand what we're talking about.
Right.
It could be a subtle thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
It is. And I was just going to say that there have been a lot of times when I'll be asking questions or whatever, and I'll see somebody's stance change, or they're kind of just the way they move or the way they're asking questions. And I'll stop and I'll be like, "You okay?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, because this is what I'm observing from you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, nope, I'm good. I was just doing this, or yeah, I kind of got a small pressure in my head, or I'm starting to experience a headache.
Right. Got a real headache, just came out of nowhere. Right.
Exactly. And
heaviness on my chest. I don't like I got this pressure all of a sudden right here in my, like in between my eyes or in my chest. It feels like my lungs got real heavy all of a sudden.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've asked Cameron that question, and it just got really heavier in here, or it got heavier, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that anything is going on with them, but they can sense it.
Reading the room. Right.
Exactly. So it's very important that you always speak up
Yep.
of anything that's going on, even after an investigation. I've gotten mad at Scott once or twice because he'll tell me something like 2 weeks later of something that happened, and I'd be like, "Why didn't you say anything?" Like I'm just angry.
Right. 'Cause we should have addressed that while we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is very, very important, and this YouTube and TikTok and just social media in general have thrown this out the window for a lot of things. No piece of evidence gets presented to a client unless it has been reviewed by the other team members
And agreed upon.
and agreed upon. I mean,
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many times all of us will come in. Everyone will have their own piece of the evidence. Everyone will have their list, and there'll be like 25 things that people think is something paranormal, and all but like 5 will get agreed to. I mean, so we've also had the mentality of we can tell that it's paranormal. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it's saying, or 4 different people hear 3 different things. And I'm like, well, then we're going to have to throw it out because how is this even going to help us with,
right.
With
There's something there. We can agree that there's something there. We don't understand what it is. So we'll put it in the something happened folder, but we can't present it to the client type of thing.
It
Right?
just
It's an experience. We just can't take it to the client.
It doesn't help our case.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
So very, very important. But of course, obviously, people post orbs that, all seasoned investigators are like, that's dust, that sort of thing. And so it just needs to be agreed upon. It's just a professional thing to make sure you're putting out the best, evidence that you can. This is pretty easy. Any devices that carry a signal, including cell phones, must be turned off or on airplane mode. And we learned that the hard way, didn't we, Dave?
We did. Walkie-talkies was the biggest culprit.
Well, that was walkie-talkies, but I was mostly referring to, and this is obviously back 14 years. So, I mean, I think shielding and technology has gotten so much better since then. Yeah. But I mean, you remember the days.
UFO signal in the chatter in your phone.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure out what the hell was happening. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's not a car within. There's not a running, moving vehicle within 10 miles of us in any given direction. There's, deer walking past us in the middle of the night. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere. And and I'm like, oh, the hell is that? What is that? E.T. Morse code?
Yeah. No.
When you first hear it, though, you don't understand what it is because, I mean, it all of a sudden you're like, well, okay, it might not be paranormal, but I don't have a logical answer as to what it is. So we at least got to take a look at it and then figure out what the hell is going on,
Yeah. Obviously, coming to find out, we all had our phones. They were on silent, but that can't stop the signal.
Right.
And so, as your phone updates or text message, your email or Facebook notification comes in, all that signal, and that's all going to affect your evidence.
So I'm gonna throw this out there because I found this really fascinating. Right. So on YouTube, I saw this group of clips that had this kind of funky strobe lightning caught on night vision cameras that were just security cameras set up in people's houses, like the Ring. It's not the Ring doorbell, but there's I think Ring makes some things where you can put a couple of cameras inside the house too,
Yeah.
And it was this funky flashing in the middle of the night, and people were like, I'm not saying it's paranormal, but it's awful weird. It's in the guest bedroom. Nobody's in the guest bedroom. Why the hell is there flashing coming out of there intermittently throughout the night when everybody else is asleep? I get it. It was weird. So I did some digging, and I spent a couple weeks kind of digging into this and looking and investigating it and stuff. And if your cell phone receives updates throughout the night, it'll flash, but you don't see it with the naked eye. But it gets caught on night vision cameras sometimes. I guess Apple's notorious for that. So they had, so the one that I saw where the guy posted a bunch of times, his I don't know, it was his daughter or niece or whatever had left her phone, had spent the weekend with him and then left their phone, then was just going to grab it the next weekend. And all throughout the week, he's getting pop, 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 like throughout the night. And he's like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. I go in there, I don't feel anything. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing out of place. The light bulbs work just fine. I don't understand what that, but it was clearly evident, like somebody was taking, like the paparazzi were popping flash bulbs in the room. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell it is. If it's legitimate, it's really weird. And some people debunked it, and they said that when Apple updates their stuff overnight, it can generate a flash that's only evident, that the only time that it picks it up is on night vision.
An
I found
IR
that to be very
flash?
interesting. Yeah,
Why would they do
weird.
something
Look it
like
up.
that?
I don't know, but look it up. You can find it. There's a ton of videos on it.
Oh, I'm not downing you even remotely. It's just that's weird
It's
that
weird.
would be the
I agree.
that would be
That's
the
why
feature.
I caught my eye. Yeah, that's why I caught my eye. That's why I dug into it for a couple of weeks. I was like, okay, this might be a show. I mean, we might have something to talk about here because, you know, it's not just this one guy, but this guy seems pretty legitimate, and he's posting a whole bunch of like weird stuff, and he's not saying it's a ghost. He just doesn't understand what the hell it is, and I don't either. So I'm going to try and figure it out and help him. So I was texting, you know, messaging him back and forth, and yeah, and somebody else chimed in that their phone does it too, and their Apple phone does it too. I don't know if it's a particular Apple phone. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe not all phones do it, but whatever it was causing it to happen. So I found that to be very interesting.
And then to round off the rules, which we've already talked about, new rule number 10: know your equipment.
Yeah, definitely know your equipment.
Definitely know your equipment. I agree. So
I gotta throw this out there. So for people that love ET and people that love UFO stuff, right? George Knapp has a new 4-part show on Netflix.
I've started watching it.
Yeah, so he's got, it's, you know, I respect the hell out of George Knapp. He was the first guy that was documenting the stuff that was happening on Skinwalker Ranch long before the investigative teams came in there. I mean, he was there with the Shermans witnessing weird shit happening on the ranch that he could not explain. And he's an investigative journalist, and he works for he's worked for the same channel and newspaper out of Las Vegas forever. So anyway, he's got a 4-part show, and there are 2. I mean, it's good. It's good because it covers a lot of really good stuff, and he's on a path. Like, he's got a reason why he put this show out there. But there are 2 pieces of evidence that are on that show that I find absolutely amazing. One of them is the UAP that submerses. And I'm not ruining it for you. You just got to watch it and then take a look at it. And then the other one is the jellyfish thing that flew over the military base that had a black ops site hidden in the middle of it and was over the base for over an hour. And the security guys were watching it on infrared heat signature only. That's the only way you could detect it. I mean, there's people, there's soldiers on patrols walking, and this thing's just like goes right over the top of their heads. Nobody's responding. Nobody's reacting. They watched it go down into the lake. It was down underwater for 17 minutes, came right back up, hovered for a little bit, and see ya. Was out of there. Now, we didn't see that aspect of it because that was confiscated by armed guards immediately after it happened. So it went to the CIA archives.
Yeah. It's called Investigation Alien.
It's really, there's some stuff in there. I'm telling you what, I tried to find that clip to share it with you. You like just on YouTube and stuff, it's not out there. Yeah, you can't find it anywhere. So that's interesting. It's been scrubbed, which I find that to be very interesting that it's scrubbed off Google. But yeah, so if you get a chance to watch it because I don't know how long it's going to be available. I don't know if you ever see it again. I mean, you can't find it on a Google search, so you can't find it on YouTube. So, watch the thing with George, watch the documentary with George, and at least look at it yourself and try and figure out what it is, because it's very unique. It's very cool looking. I don't think it's another country. I just don't see another country developing a floating jellyfish that you can only see on heat signature. And then flying it around remotely over a black ops site in the Middle East. But what else do we want to talk about?
Mentalities.
Yeah, we did. Aren't we done?
That was rules.
Oh, mentality. Sorry. All right. I was segueing, taking a break mentally.
Yeah, that's it.
I really like that series. So did you start watching the one about the one that we're going to do a show on? The lady who got abducted out of New York?
No, I'm not there yet.
Somewhere down the road, like next year, we'll do a show on this. Absolutely amazing. 23 witnesses saw this lady hovering outside of her 27-story apartment in Manhattan. And then she's gone. People are like, ooh, are they making a movie? Are they doing special effects here in the middle of the night? People are recording it on their cell phones and stuff. I don't know. It's good. It's a little catty. I don't know why they threw that aspect in there, because there's this lady who doesn't believe her, who doesn't like her, and she's the whole thing. And then there's a lady that it happened to, and she's just trying to be like, hey, it happened. People saw me floating outside the window. What the hell? I'm not lying, I mean, if it didn't happen, if you didn't see it, if I'm lying, what the hell was I doing floating outside of my window unconscious 27 stories up? Kathy. So you'll like that ass. I think you'll like that. It's a little catty at times, but it's a good show. I haven't finished it yet. I think it's a 3 or 4 part series too. So
At least.
yeah.
Okay. We ready to move on?
Yes.
All right.
Needed a little break there to freshen up the brain.
Gotcha. So these are mentalities, which obviously are like thought processes when you go into the paranormal. So number 1, which Dave and I will very much agree with, demons are rare. Forget what you see on TV. And this is
1%.
Did you say 1%?
I'll say 1%. I'll go up to 5%. I don't think I've ever said in my life higher than 5% of all cases would be considered to be evil. It used to be a solid 1 to 3% for me, but there's a lot of unrest in the world right now, and I just don't like things are shifting. Things are shifting. I can feel it. I feel it at work. I feel it in just being out, just living life. So I don't know. I know a lot of religious leaders will tell you right now that things are shifting, and not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not basing my feelings on their word whatsoever. I'm basing it on what I feel. So I might be 3 to 5% now instead of 1 to 3%.
Gotcha. But
hopefully it goes back to 1 to 3%.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, so many people, and Dave and I have discussed this on the show so many times, that everybody thinks everything's demonic. So much so that I actually created this shirt.
It's not a demon. Yeah.
It's not a demon.
That's a great shirt.
Yeah. So if
anybody wants to buy one,
if anybody wants one, you can contact me.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they're not on the website yet, but you can contact me through the website, cfilesradio.com, and we can get you squared away. But yeah, obviously, sex sells, evil sells, scary sells.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why you see that all on TV. If they tried to come out with a show where, you know, what everybody was doing is like an opening door and footsteps down the hallway, you're going to last about 3 episodes. You're going to get canceled. Nobody's going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, people want to be scared without being in danger.
Correct.
And so watching these re-dramatizations and whatnot of people who are in danger is like a big thing for them. And that's sad on us, but that's the way the world works, obviously.
That's why people can't look away when there's some horrific accident on a highway.
Gawker traffic.
They all slow down to 5 miles an hour and look at the decapitated body laying in the road. You know, I didn't want to see that.
But I can't stop looking.
I can't stop myself.
Yeah.
I don't look. I don't want to see it.
So
somebody lost their life.
Exactly.
So anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on. So this is what brought this topic to want to talk about it again. And this next one. And this is what happened last night with one of my investigators. And Dave and I have encountered it a couple times ourselves with people that are with us on like investigations. And that is, spirits do not owe you anything.
No, they do not. Get over yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dave and I can go back to Mounds Theater if he remembers when we were with that one lady.
And, I remember. Both the ladies were there. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and she was adamant. She was like, I paid money to be here. You need to entertain me. You need to do something. And let me just reiterate what happened to her. Is about within the next 20 minutes, she got so nauseated, she had to leave.
Yep.
They taught her a lesson.
Yep.
So what happened last night, and she didn't do it in that fashion. Like that wasn't it. She was just trying to, I think she was trying to be more supportive than anything. But we were in like a theater type environment, and she was in the front row, and we were doing a session, and she was like, you know, and she started to get, she tried to get, I don't want to, bratty, maybe is a better word. She's like, come on, I want the show to start. She's like, I'm in the front row. I paid a lot of money for these. And, you know, she wasn't trying to be like, she wasn't trying to be a bitch. I think she's just trying.
Accomplished it.
Well, I don't know. I don't even want to say that. I think she's just trying to get like one of those, like a reaction.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, oh, you know,
response.
like our audience really wants us to go on, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
She just went about it the wrong way. And so, you know, as soon as she did it, I'm like probably 10 rows behind her, sitting in the middle. And I'm just, I just start saying, like, that's got to be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what brought this up is you can't go into some place thinking, especially when like it's a paid, like Edinburgh Manor, Farrar, you know, Waverly Hills. You can't go in there and demand they do something because you paid money to the other people that they now need to entertain you. That's just not how it works.
That's so offensive to me that I would remove you from the investigation and give you your money back and send you packing. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because you're not even going to be allowed to be around me with that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting myself on a plateau in any way, shape, or form. But that type of attitude is totally the antithesis of where you need to be if you're trying to communicate with something that 55% of the world says doesn't exist. You know? You can't go in there with that kind of mentality. You have to be calm, appreciative, grounded, respectful, right? You want to have an experience. You would like to have an experience. You would like to see something or hear something in review or feel something. You would like to help. once you get in this path and you've been in it a long time, you want to help them move to where they want to move to. That's another pet peeve of mine. Stop going into locations with we're moving everybody forward today. What the hell is that? Did you talk to everybody? Did you communicate with the 38 individuals that are here because they like it here? And now you're going to put them on the bus forcefully? I don't think so. That's just a dick move right there. Sorry. And I know people who do it. And they're my friends. It's still a dick move.
Yeah.
Don't move anybody on that unless you communicate with them that they're struggling or that they're scared to be where they're at.
Yeah. I'm not going to say who it is, even though if he's listening to the show, he'll know who knows who he is. But I mean, I don't say anything to him because it's not my team. So
doesn't matter to me. I'd say it.
I know, but there's been a lot of times when we'll talk about like upcoming cases, whatever, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Tomorrow we got to go to this one place and do a clearing." And I'm like, "Oh,
based on
okay.
what?"
Well, yeah, and I'm like, "Well, did your investigation turn up?" "Oh no, we're just going to go in and clear it. That's what the client wants." And I'm like, "All right, I am not going to say anything."
Yep.
I'm like, if that's the way you want to do things, all right.
Yep. Right.
I don't mind clearing, but I'm going to understand why I'm clearing.
I'll tell you what, at your best bet, it's a coin flip as to whether that spirit's going to leave or whether that spirit who was living peacefully and coexisting is now going to get pissed off because it wants to be there. And you're coming in and trying to establish some sort of rules that don't have a goddamn thing to do with their existence with the homeowner. So
I have had those investigations.
I have too. Yep.
Where the homeowner experiences something paranormal, and instead of trying to understand or whatever, they bring in somebody to clear it, and it doesn't work.
It backfires.
And
then it's
now
10 times worse.
And now they're pissed.
Right.
And thankfully I was able to diffuse that and just be like, look, if they agree to never try to remove you again, can you just leave them alone?
Right. It was a mistake.
Yep. And
they were scared. They didn't understand what they were doing. Can we just do some coexistence here and just be peaceful?
And everything has been hunky-dory ever since.
Right.
And
that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
97% of the
time. All right. Treat spirits as if they're still human, and they will treat you the same.
Absolutely. Converse with them.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, how I can't tell you how many times somebody's leaned over and like whispered something to me, like about what we were experiencing or whatever. And I'm like, why are you whispering? I don't know. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they're dead. They're not.
They can hear you.
Yeah. Dead. They're not deaf.
Exactly right. Yeah. They're right here. They're right. They're right in between us, like listening. It's not like you're being secretive,
Exactly. So it's and I've often had this conversation with my team or certain members of the team over the years about whether we can, in our field, whether we can even use the word dead as opposed to like passed on or something.
That's a good topic right there.
Or moved on, because if you're dealing with an intelligent spirit who understands their life, who's in their former home, and they know they're in their former home, they know they've passed on, and you can,
and they know there's a new homeowner, and they're okay with it.
Exactly, and you go in there and you communicate, and they set off the equipment, and they leave an EVP or two.
Mm-hmm.
Can you call them dead? Because they're obviously not.
They're not. They're in a transition.
Exactly. So I've actually started using the term passed on as opposed to dead.
I
'Cause
use the term transitional phase, right? I mean,
or you can
there's
just use. Oh,
go
so
ahead.
you can use the term the otherwise meat suited.
The lack of meat suit. Yeah. Right.
The non meat suited.
Yeah. You hung your meat you hung your meat suit up to dry, and you finally are free of it.
Yeah.
And now
So,
you're just enjoying things. So
I mean, this kind of is based off this one, although it probably could be its own mentality. I heard the theory many years ago, and I actually really subscribe to it because it seems to really fit. Is that spirits who people when they were alive, they have certain traits.
Mhm.
So spirits when they transition on using your term, they have the same characteristics as they have when they were alive.
Mhm.
And so if you're dealing with a spirit who would not normally follow a stranger home, a spirit's not going to follow you home.
Right.
If you're dealing with an asshat who is very territorial and this is my home, my rule, my land, and you try to go against him in some disrespectful way, yeah, he's going to smack you down because that's the way you
Well,
would have done it anyways.
right. I mean, that right there is a perfect example of the person feeling like they got shoved going down the stairs.
Mhm.
Right? You walked into the house, you thought you were in control, you told the guy, entertain me like a monkey. Come on, monkey boy, entertain me. Clap your little discs together. Come on, let's go. Right? And the person who owns the house was a grumpy SOB anyway. And he's like, yeah, you just wait till you try to go downstairs from the second floor and we'll see who's going to be the person who's going to pay the price on this move. Right. And then you get the hand in the middle of your back and you go tumbling forward.
Mhm.
Hopefully just a couple of bruises and lesson learned.
Hopefully, emphasis on lesson learned.
And a couple of bruises. But because you fall down the stairs, you're gonna get at least a couple of bruises. So
yeah.
But yes, that's a perfect example of that type of mentality, right?
And there's been a lot of times where you get a list of claims and they're
Mhm.
aggressive. They're aggressive. They're banging on the walls. There's things being tossed
Scratching.
at you. Yeah, maybe even scratching. And and I always say, depending on the location and what exactly it is, especially if it's somebody's like a private home.
Right.
I'm like, well, look at it this way. Let's say you're a spirit who doesn't understand that they're dead or they want their home or they don't know why you're suddenly in their
I
home.
was just gonna say, right. They don't understand why you're here.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you think they're going to react? They're going to react very strongly.
Right.
They're going to try and get your ass out of there because they don't know why you're there.
Right.
It's their home.
I think honestly at times too, I think they're just as probably when they're in that early transition phase, they're probably just as scared that there's intruders in their house
Mhm.
as you are that, hey, we just bought this house and there's some weird stuff going on. It's probably equal for both sides of the party at the very beginning of those kind of relationships.
Yep.
Like they're like, hey, I've lived here 55 years. My husband passed away in this house. And so did I 5 years after that. And we raised our kids and grandkids and everything in this house. Who the hell are you? Right? Why are you here?
Mhm.
And because they're confused. They're in that early stage of transition. They're confused.
Yep.
So
so this next one is another thing that came up
Sorry.
last night, and I get it all the time. You're back?
Oh, it's just been killing me all week, so I'm stretched. Sorry.
Nope, that's quite all right. And I get it all the time. I know, Dave, you probably get it all the time. And that is just because it's quiet doesn't mean the spirits aren't talking to you.
No, that is 100% correct.
All right, there's another one.
There's another one. Yeah, I'm throwing a few hundreds out this year. I know. That is 100% correct. Just because you can't hear it does not mean there is not activity happening.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times we would go back and listen to something and be like, what? It was completely dead quiet. And then pull 8, 10 rock solid Class A EVPs out of the investigation and be like, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know,
and it happened again last night. I was leaving. I was talking to my client, and I asked if she, at least enjoyed herself or whatever, and she was like, she's like, it was a little quiet. She's like, was it even worth your trip up here? And I said that exact mentality to her. I go, just because it's quiet doesn't mean they're not speaking to you.
right?
And she was like, you're absolutely correct.
Right.
And I reiterated that to the team on the way home. Because how I always do. I always ask, what'd you think? What'd you think of the investigation? Right. And a couple of them was like, it was a lot quieter than I thought it would be. And I'm just because it's quiet doesn't mean they're not trying to communicate with you.
Right.
It just
You're
means
just not on the same wavelength yet. That's all.
Well, that just they didn't see a point in making the REM card go,
Right. Right.
So I mean, and who really does? Because
I still think that spirits, and who he is. There's a popular guy out on the East Coast who, TV kind of guy who he and I just are totally on opposite ends, butting heads on this, but his mentality is, hey, you passed away in 1790, but you keep up to speed with everything that's going on. So you understand what a laser grid is, and you understand what a FLIR is and what a REM pod is. And my mentality is, if I died in 1952 and you walk into my house with a laser beam, what the hell is a laser beam, first of all? And secondly, why, if I step into that thing that's shot on my wall, it's going to kill me. I'm not joking. That's exactly what I think happens. And his mentality is, they know, they understand everything that's going on. I'm like, you're an idiot. They don't understand. What the hell do you mean they understand? Somebody that died in the 50s that's kind of trapped in their own little time cube right now because they haven't been able to expand themselves outward and move on. You think they know, what a REM pod is? They don't know. They're afraid of it. It makes a lot of noise and a lot of lights flash. And that nothing like that existed. I mean, it was the future, scientific future, to have a telephone where you could put it in your pocket, right? Or like a mobile phone. That was like, that didn't exist, right? You'd probably find one up on Mars.
You're Martian.
I'm just saying, probably 90% of the population would have told you were crazy if you told them, if you could go back in time right now to 1945 and pull out your cell phone and show it to them and take a picture of them.
You'd be burned
right there and take a video.
Be burned as a witch.
Yeah, you'd be in jail. Your shit would be confiscated, and then you'd just disappear. The Men in Black, literally, the Men in Black in the Lincolns would show up, throw your ass in the back of the Lincoln, and you'd be in Utah. That's exactly what would happen. So, yeah,
right.
It's interesting though. So I don't think so. I think that spirits that have passed away many, many years ago, I think that you have to go back in time, and that is why I absolutely love using time period correct pieces. If I'm going to a case where I know that the history of the house was the turn of the century, I'll do my best to secure a bunch, like an old pocket watch and some real silver coins from around that time frame, and maybe some old bills if I can get my hands on them, or some old photos or postcards or something as a trigger object that they're going to recognize and then understand, I think, that you're trying to show them that it's okay. Right? Like, I'm trying to bridge the gap here. Right? I'm bringing these things to share with you because I think they're important. They could be important to you. I don't own a bunch of glitz and glamour equipment anyway. I use my recorders, and my digital camera, and I got a little night when I feel like shooting video, I've got a nice little Sony that shoots in zero light, little tiny handy cam that does a really nice job and shoots in not 4K in HD, which is plenty fine for what we do. So that's it. I don't have anything else. When I do setup, it takes me about 6 minutes. When you do setup, it takes about an hour and 45 minutes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just again, we're on the same path. We're just at about 10 feet apart at that point.
Yep.
I'm over here on the simple path, and you're over here on the road to Oz. And I'm just on this little dirt trail.
Yeah.
Walk parallel to you. But everybody sees things differently, on how they want to communicate. I have great luck communicating with what I use, and obviously you have great luck communicating with what you use. I mean, I do like the FLIR. I do like the FLIR. Maybe somewhere down the road I'd get a FLIR, but I think it's just a cool tool anyway. And after some of the things that I've seen have been caught on FLIRs, I think that has a place in a good investigative, briefcase type of thing of things to use while you're out in the field.
Yep, agreed. So, all right, you'll like this one.
Okay.
You must have patience. I don't even really need to go much more into that. Just you need to be patient in everything. I know everybody's excited to have these personal experiences, and they're really eager, especially when you're a rookie. I was talking with Nicole last night about another one of our investigators, Chris, and how every other question, or almost every question he asks, has something to do with getting the equipment to go off. And I know you really want that equipment to go off, but settle down.
That's the circus mentality. Perform for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a rookie. That's the rookie mentality.
It is. And so, I mean, that's why it's on there. You must have patience.
Right.
And that's actually one of the questions that I ask, new investigators is, would you be okay if you went 2 or 3 investigations straight and nothing happened to you? And so far, I think I've gotten truthful answers based on their behavior through the first, couple investigations. But it's always important to understand and stress patience in everything that we do, because just like the spirits don't owe you anything, you're doing this on their terms.
They might not even be there.
No, and there's that too.
Right. I mean, vortexes are a real thing. They might be there at times, but when I pass away, I'm going to come visit you and I'll give you some great EVPs, but I'm not going to be around all the time. I'm going to be in Greece. I'm going to be in Alaska. I'm going to be on the dark side of the moon. I'm going to be checking out the nebulas, and then I'll come back down and, say hi when you're at some high school in the northern part of the state or whatever. Right. I'll just pop in and be like, Mike, I hope everything's going good, buddy. That's the kind of EVP you're going to get from me.
Well, and since you live your life past, present, future all at the same time,
right?
you could give that EVP to me the next investigation. I'll just be like, Dave, you here? All right.
Next investigation, you call out for me, and
okay.
If I'm capable of doing it, even though I'm still alive and stuff here, if I'm capable of doing it, I will do my best to try and figure that puzzle out and send you an EVP.
Sweetness.
But I want to hear it if it comes through.
Well,
you'll know it'll be my voice, obviously.
Yeah.
We got a pretty distinct voice, so.
Yeah. So you will 100% give out 2 in the same show to this one. The risks are very real. Be careful what you say and ask for. We've only talked about that every other episode.
Every other episode. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
don't go into an investigation and go, I want you to scratch my neck. I want you to shove me down. I'm going to stand right here on the edge of the staircase. I want you to push me down the stairs. No, you don't. Get up. Here's your $20 back. Get in your car and go home. You're just an idiot because you're endangering everybody else. You're endangering yourself. You're pissing off the spirits that are here. You're pissing off the energy that's here. And you're only endangering other people that don't want to get attacked, that don't want to get shoved down the stairs.
Yep.
You know?
And lastly, I actually just wrote this down at the beginning of the show. So I've added a mentality and a rule tonight.
Nice.
And so the next mentality and the last one, there is only so much we can do as a team. You know, there are some situations that are beyond our capabilities.
Right. You're just an observer and a documentarian of what's going on, and then you have to pass it along to somebody whose expertise is a little different path than yours.
Yep. Dave, keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. Not a problem. So, like in a situation like that, let's say that you get into a situation where, and I'm not going to go demonic, but let's just say it's a little darker, you know, where the kids are being terrorized. You've got the hag in the closet that's scaring the hell out of the kids at night for no reason. As a team, you go in and you document that. You know, you go and you get proof as best you can. You do eyewitness testimony, obviously. You bring your equipment and strategically place it. You know, I will say this. So anytime that you're going to go on an investigation, the term investigation is a multiple term, right? It's not a singular term. So I have been on that mentality for a long time. It might take me, and it has taken me, 6 months to complete a case, right? Grant Wilson said it best when he was speaking at a conference we were at, you know, that he might have to go back to a location 8, 10, 12 times in order to get it resolved, because it's not a one and done type of situation. So if you get yourself into a situation where you're asked to come in as a documentarian kind of role, then what you're really doing there is you're helping the person who's in distress by using your tools, using your equipment, using your knowledge and your experience, documenting everything the best you can, presenting great evidence, and then passing that great evidence on to somebody else and letting them step in and help the family in a way that they can help the family that might not be your expertise. And that's the beauty part about the paranormal community, is that we all have each other's back. You know, we all it's the same thing as anything else in the world. You know, you specialize in this, you specialize in this, you specialize in this. We can't all specialize in everything. So, you know, you might be great at getting EVPs and understanding them. You might be great at getting spirit photography. You might be great at experiencing personal experiences type of thing, where you can feel the energy and you can sense what they're talking about. And so you share your personal experiences with the person who's a great photographer of spirit energy. And then those two people share their experiences and their information with the person who does a great job of getting EVPs, by asking proper questions and sharing positive energy and strategically placing recorders where they should be and being able to discern background noise and shit that shouldn't be there versus a real EVP. And when you bring all that together, you get a beautiful case, you know, and it's the same thing. So you get a beautiful case, but it's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. So we're going to pass it to Pastor Tom, you know, or pass it to, you know, medium Susan, right? Or whatever right. Cena. I mean, whatever the situation might be. And then we all have each other's backs like that, right? The ultimate goal with this is not fame, fortune, or pride, because God forbid you have pride when you're doing this. I'll throw you right out the window myself. The real reason that we do this is to help the people that are in distress, that can't handle what's going on. For me, it's the kids. It's a family situation. So as an adult, you probably did something stupid that caused it to happen, but I'm still going to come help you. But kids, little kids especially, they didn't do anything wrong. So they need somebody in their corner, and I'm the man to be there while I'm here on the planet. So
Sure. Yeah, so that's all I got. Those are all the rules and mentalities that I try to pass along to my team and the investigators that come out to help me in my goal, as Dave said, to help people.
right.
Either with the activity directly or just to understand what is going on.
Right.
Sometimes the understanding is all they're really looking for.
And I've had that happen so many times, right? It's not about calling in the cavalry. It's just about helping the client understand what they're experiencing.
Yep.
And then when they understand it, they're like, okay,
Mhm.
as long as it stays here, and doesn't ramp up, we can live with this. This is
Mhm.
okay, right? This is okay. If I hear some pots and pans banging in the kitchen in the middle of the night, it's okay.
Well,
I'll wake up. It'll wake me up. I'll hear it.
and
But if I know what it is, it's okay.
that's exactly it.
You know,
When people wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, and they hear pots and pans, they right away think intruder.
right.
And
But what the hell intruder is stealing your $29 T-Fall pots and pans?
Well, maybe they're going for something else and are banging it. But anyway,
Right.
But if they wake up in the middle of the night and they're like, oh, that's old man Johnson. He's just cooking breakfast, like
Right.
he always did.
Yep.
And they're going to go right back to sleep.
Exactly right.
And so understanding, I think, is probably for a paranormal investigator, like the most important part of what we do.
And it takes time. So if you're new, if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, I'm going to knock all this stuff out of the park. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
That's-
You know what you're going to do? You're going to jump in both feet first, and then you're going to get overwhelmed as hell. And then you're going to get scared, and you're going to have some experiences that are going to freak your ass out, and you might run away, or you might not, or you might come back. But when you do, and you've had, and some time has gone by, you're going to find your niche. And that niche, if you find it and you build upon it, that niche is what's going to strengthen the community moving forward. As any great investigator, we all have our niches.
So before we end here, because I don't really have anything else.
No, I don't either. I mean, we said we're going to struggle to get to an hour, and we're an hour and 45 in, so it's not too shabby.
But for anybody out there who thinks they have maybe a rule or a mentality that is not on my list, feel free to send it to me. Odyssey Files Radio.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Odyssey Files Radio. Let me get rid of the email, Dave.
Sorry. That's sorry. I was going to say, come on the show and support your reason why you think it's a good rule to add.
We can do that.
What I'm saying.
But Odyssey Files Radio at gmail.com. Also, if you have, or you can just go to the website and do a submission for it. But, or if you have a paranormal story or question for Dave and I for the mailbag, you can go on to odysseyfilesradio.com and submit that there.
There are some good ones in there for the next time that we hit the mailbag. There's a couple beauties in there. So
sweet. So once again, just want to apologize for Brett and Ryan not being here. I have no idea what happened to them. It's not like they called it. It's not they wrote in and were like, we can't make it. They just did not. No call, no show.
Nope.
So we'll see what we can do, because I really want that show and I think it'd be great. So must be some sort of miscommunication. But anyway, with that said, we will be back next week. Will we be back next week, or is that?
What is next week? That's Thanksgiving, isn't it?
I don't
know.
Well, Thanksgiving's Thanksgiving's Thursday, so it's it's the 24th. Are you going to be here for that, Dave?
I don't know. I sent you my schedule.
Yeah, and I don't think that was on. I think the next day you have off.
The next day I'm off for my birthday. Right.
Yeah.
So December 1st, I'm off for my birthday. No, I'll be on next week. And then
Well,
And then
we're
I'll be
syncing
on
our
December-
calendars here live on the air.
I'll be on December 8th, and I'll be on December
That will be
15th.
that'll be our last show of the year.
Christmas show of the year, the 15th, right? Because then the 22nd I won't be on, and then the 29th I won't be on.
Yep.
So yeah,
the 15th will be our last show of the year.
yeah. I was gonna say 15th to kind of be our Christmas episode and whatever goodies we can find. Maybe we should do a giveaway this year.
A giveaway.
Yeah, like for
We'll think.
Christmas.
We'll think about it.
Yeah.
Because chances are I'll be buying it. So
No. Well, I was thinking, being in, kind of in high-end jewelry and stuff like that. And, you've got extra t-shirts and hats and stuff like that. We can come together and throw together like something nice.
we will discuss it and talk about it later. We have plenty of time.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right. Well, enjoy this abbreviated show.
Enjoy this 2-hour show that's 12 minutes short. 12 minutes short, sorry.
Anyways, all right. We'll see everyone next week. Everyone stay healthy, stay safe. Want to see you back here. Have a good night.